Here on WFMY Plus, I'm Lauren Coleman.
Yes, and I'm Hannah Hill. It is 10 o'clock on this Sunday morning, and we've been tracking impacts from yesterday's historic snowfall across our state all morning long.
The storm has now passed, but Ed, it will take a while for all of this snow to melt. We know the sun is out now, but is it enough?
Yeah, it's enough. We got to start somewhere. So today, I guess, is the day. But, you know, the snow is going to be with us pretty much all week long. It'll be a very slow process to see the melt. Now, as we take a look at radar, the snow has just about cleared the Carolina coast. There's a little leftover snow shower and snow flurry activity along the Outer Banks. And we had talked about earlier that this would be offshore by noon. And it looks as though that is going to be the case. Now here locally, we are basking in that sunshine, and yes, that will help with melt. You don't have to get above freezing to get snow melt. All you got to do is get direct sunshine, and that's exactly what we've got over High Point and all of the Piedmont Triad. Temperature at High Point right now is 19, 18 in Greensboro and Winston-Salem, 19 at Burlington. Temperatures are starting to go up, so the feel-like temperature not as low as it was earlier when we had wind chills several degrees below zero. However, we make it into the upper 20s today, but it will feel like it's in the teens because the winds will stay up a bit, maybe a 25, 30 mile per hour wind gust and a high of 28. It'll be clear, very cold tonight with the snowpack and the clear sky and the light winds. Overnight lows will dip to around 10 or 12. We'll look ahead in the Triad 7-day forecast coming up.
All right, checking in on our Triad traffic as we take a look at our big picture map there. We're seeing congestion all across the board. Those yellows, oranges, and reds. We're seeing light and moderate delays due to the snow and ice that are covering the interstates. Not a lot of drivers out, but these elements are making road conditions tough. So for those who are out and about, you're going to see those slowdowns. Seeing that out on I-40, definitely seeing that out on Wendover as well. I took Wendover into work this morning, and though some of the roads have been plowed, it is still icy. So I was driving at about 20 miles per hour when I'm usually going about 50. So doubled my duration to get into work. Let's go ahead and take a look at Winston-Salem. Same story there. We're seeing those delays out on 52, 74, I-40, both east and westbound, and 421 as well. So again, if you don't have to be out and about, stay off the roads. A lot of church services are closed today, so there really shouldn't be a need to get out. But if you are an essential worker and you do need to get to work, give yourself that extra time as you head out the door. Very quickly looking at some drive times, it looks like we're having some technical difficulties with the commute numbers, but traffic flows about 30 miles per hour, both on 421 East and I-40 East if you're leaving Winston heading into Greensboro. To help DOT and first responders over the next few days, you'll want to keep these recommendations in mind. When you're driving just 35 miles an hour, for example, icy roads, decreasing that speed.
Yeah, it's always a really good idea. I know this morning, thankfully my husband took me to work, but you know, with the snow coming down really until midnight last night, it was like every 2 hours he had to go out there and just brush off the truck just to keep up with all of it.
So that was I was going to do that as well. I went out there once in the afternoon and then this morning. Let's go ahead and check in on our NCDOT briefing that's happening and listening in to officials now. All right, we're working to get that audio playing. We do have NCDOT. They're giving a briefing on what it's doing to clean up roads as drivers get out and about. As we were saying, the roadways, the main roads, the interstates, they have been plowed. But what we were dealing with a lot of is the wind whipping up and bringing that snow back onto the main roads. Side streets, some of them look like they have not been touched. So it's really dangerous out there, and we're still dealing with some of that leftover ice from the week before.
Yeah, still some side streets, you know, in Greensboro, and I'm sure Winston-Salem, all of our areas in the Triad. A lot of those maybe still do have the ice on it. So what you would put a ruler in the snow as and get maybe 5 inches, maybe it's 7 in those certain spots. If you live there and you want to get out, it's not easy. From experience, we definitely know that. I know earlier this morning I drove on Cone Boulevard, and I'm trying to think of the other, Lawndale, and you could tell that they were plowed overnight, maybe in between when the snow was still coming down. So it was thinner, but not non-existent. I think when we checked in earlier with Christina Dillon in Burlington, you could tell as soon as you see the sun coming down, then it starts to melt, which is of course a good thing.
Yeah, anything will help at this moment. DOT has been sending us emails all morning long about interstates and primary roads covered with snow and ice. And to help get an idea of what first responders are working with over the next few days, we want to give you some recommendations to keep in mind when you're out on the roads. So again, when you are driving just 35 miles an hour, for example, an icy road can increase a normal stopping distance by 10 times because tires lose critical traction. So remember, take it slow out there. When stopping, do not slam on the brakes. If your car ends up sliding, steer in the direction you want your car to go.
Let's take a check-in on some power outages across the state. Surrey Yadkin Electric reported a couple dozen outages through those counties this morning. Here in the Triad, we're looking pretty clear, so that is always a good thing. Once again, with the first system, we were concerned there might be a lot of power outages because of the ice that would freeze onto those power lines, but with this system it was just a whole bunch of fluffy snow, so thankfully we're not seeing that in this situation. And we have been tracking the impacts of this system all weekend long. Right now our Giselle Thomas is still in Greensboro. She was on the roadways a little bit earlier. So Giselle, how are things looking in Greensboro right now, and what snow totals have you found as well?
Yeah, so we're actually here in the Latham Park neighborhood. Right now, the area is truly really covered in that snow. I wanted to pull out my snow on 2-stick just to show you guys really how deep the snow is here near this park area. And we're gonna put it in here. Oh, look at that. We're about 8 inches here. Now that is pretty sturdy, and also some of the highest levels that we've seen kind of so far as we've been going all throughout Guilford County. But I really wanted to show you guys and bring your attention to, we know we've been talking a lot about people enjoying the snow, and we've been telling you where not to sled at, and this is the perfect example of a place that you probably want to make sure that you're avoiding. So here at Latham Park, you can see that a lot of this North Buffalo Creek is frozen. But look at that. There is still some running water that's under that frozen layer that's there. And that's why if you are going to be out and about enjoying the snow that's here, you want to make sure that you're not sledding by any place that might have any type of obstacle or by any type of body of water. Also, you want to make sure that you are able to that there is a flat area that is near the bottom of where you're going, so that way you're free from any roadways and you can safely get to the bottom. This is a perfect example of, yes, we are in a park, but you want to make sure that you're in a space that is clear and free of anything that you can get caught up in as you're enjoying this weather. Just to bring you back to some views that we've seen on the road. So far this morning, we took a drive on a lot of the main priority roads. Now, the city of Greensboro does say that they're not going to say on that interactive map that it is completely clear unless you can see the actual pavement of the roadway. Now that the sun is starting to come up, we're starting to see that ice melt and that snow melt. So we're finally seeing the pavement, you guys. Since from 5 a.m. now it's a few minutes past 10, and the fact that we're finally seeing that pavement, that is a good sign, because that just shows as those crews are going back through and using the plow, that means that work is actually seeing through in this moment. Something else we've seen too is just the wind really blow that snow back over, so we're keeping an eye on the neighborhoods, especially here as we're in that Latham Park neighborhood. Live in Greensboro, Giselle Thomas, WFMY News 2.
Giselle, I'm so glad that you showed this pond behind you, this body of water that is slightly frozen over. I know last year we had 3 related deaths to freezing water, and a lot of kids are going to be out and about. So not just being near bodies of water, but how they dress is important because the wind chill is below 0 degrees. Kind of talk about how folks should be dressed if they plan to get out and play in the snow.
Yes, I'll use myself as an example. So right now I have 2 jackets on. One of them is mainly just for purposing to show news too, but I have a really long, thick jacket underneath here. Also, I'm wearing several layers underneath. They're fleece-lined leggings. I have an additional one, even some Under Armour. Also, I have these gloves that have some of the fleece inside. But the most important part that you want to make sure that your kiddos are doing as well is having protection over your head. Right now, look at this. We're getting this huge gust of wind, but because I have this head covering on, I did not feel that. The only part that I felt was just on my wrist right here. That's the only part that's exposed. So knowing that heat escapes your head, that's the best way to stay protected. I have a hat that's silk lined, this cover, and the hood. So really just trying to stay as warm as I can out here and want to make sure that you guys are also doing the same. Being outside for longer than 10 minutes or so without the proper protection can be dangerous. So try to limit for how long. I know in between our breaks when you guys see us, we are trying to keep as warm as we can in the car or even taking a stop at a gas station. So safety is top of mind for us out here as it is also for you guys out there.
Yeah, Giselle, so you had mentioned you are at Latham Park. Buffalo Creek is behind you.
Yes.
Buffalo Creek, we often know that those water levels, they can fluctuate from, different times in the year and even with different parts of the stream. So what may look like is thick enough to walk on is still not a good idea.
Yes, that is exactly right. It is not a good idea to walk on this. Something else as well, too, if you guys are headed out here, whether you're sledding or just getting close to the lake, these waters, even though it might seem frozen, it cannot hold the weight of an adult. Also keep in mind that it cannot hold the weight of a child and also pets. Literally just the other day, I know we had a rescue. It was a man who was walking his dog and they ended up sliding down a hill from what we understand, and they were trapped in a lake that was similar to this. So you really want to make sure, we've seen lots of people out here walking their dogs and their pets, that you're staying as far away from any opening to any body of water because you never know. It's very slippery out here. I'm going to take a small walk. I want to kind of show you guys the difference of how important your steps could be and how that can even be a danger. So you see right here, I just put the stick. We were in that 8 inches, right? As I'm walking, look at how the height changes, right? That's here to here. That is the difference of a curb. I only know that this was a curve because we kind of do a quick lay of the land for safety before we go live doing this. But if I was just walking out here unknown and in this undisturbed snow, there's no way to know that. So that just also plays into part of being careful and also dressing properly.
Yes, all very important reminders there. Giselle, be safe and go get in the car and get warm.
Yeah, absolutely. And it never gets cold enough in North Carolina for those bodies of water to freeze like we see up in the Michigan area. So just stay clear if you can. So the city of Greensboro has crews working around the clock to clear the roads for you.
The city shared in the last 12 hours that crews have been replowing Priority 1 roads since yesterday morning. They'll continue to plow and treat those roads today and get to Priority 2 sometime this evening. They say Priority 3 will follow the completion of Priority 2, and if you don't remember from last week, that was the issue. Priority 3 roads had not been treated, which is why maybe you didn't get your trash picked up and the kids couldn't go to school. So big question mark there as we continue into the start of the new work week. To check the city's progress yourself, head on over to the website for a look at the interactive snow removal map. You can always find the latest conditions there. Guilford County Schools and Stokes County Schools have both moved to cancel classes completely tomorrow. We know last week most districts went remote for the entirety of the week, while some canceled class altogether.
The state only permits a certain number of remote learning days or days off for each district. throughout the school year. So some of these districts have to make the decision wisely, but we know it all depends on the road conditions in the morning. Ed?
All righty, we've got the sunshine, and yeah, a little melting has already begun. It's going to take a while because we've got so much snow on the ground, but each day we'll chip away and we'll melt some of that snow. Look at these low temperatures this morning, dropping into the single digits and low teens, and we're going to see similar morning lows coming up on Monday morning. Now, our weather impact alert remains in effect through midday tomorrow. Bitter cold with wind chills today in the teens, but earlier we had wind chills in the single digits, and we still have some of those now, as you'll see in a minute. So bitter cold Monday and Tuesday before we see a slight moderation in the temperatures, and of course the roads will stay rather icy. Windy, most recently a 31-mile-per-hour wind gust over in Winston-Salem, 18 at Reedsville, 26 at Danville, 17 over at Asheboro, and also a 17-mile-per-hour wind gust at Wilkesboro. So earlier this morning, we had some wind chills several degrees below zero. The lowest wind chill that I saw out at PTI was 4 below zero. Now, as the temperatures move up, even though the winds stay up, so will the feel-like temperatures. They're still into the single digits over many locations right now, but as temperatures move up into the upper 20s to around 30 this afternoon, it'll feel like it's in the low and mid-teens because it's going to stay rather breezy right on through this evening before the winds relax tonight, and very little in the way of wind coming up on Monday as our low pressure moves away. So forecast highs today, I'm saying 28. Our model says 31, so somewhere in between. But tonight with a clear sky and a snowpack and light winds, those conditions combine to after sunset, the temperatures will really start to drop. And again, tomorrow morning, I think temperatures will be around 10 or 12 across the Piedmont. So our low pressure area tracking on to out to sea rather than going up the East Coast. So this is not going to be a classic nor'easter and pound our friends up over New England. It is moving kind of in an east-northeasterly track away from the Carolina coast. So obviously we've already got the sunshine here. The leftover snow is moving offshore from the Outer Banks. Still rather windy along the Carolina coast, but conditions there will improve tonight and tomorrow. The low pressure continues to move away. We stay cold today and tomorrow, but a little thawing out, even more so as we go into Tuesday and Wednesday, as temperatures should make it into the low and mid 40s both on Tuesday and again on Wednesday. Our next weather maker will be low pressure that will track up towards the Great Lakes. The associated cold front will swing through our area during the day on Wednesday. It is looking likely that this will be liquid precipitation, something we haven't had in a while. It's all been frozen here recently, but what little bit of rain we get, it will be liquid, of course, as that cold front moves through our area coming up on Wednesday. Just to let you know, as we look ahead for the first half of February, expecting to continue averaging below normal temperatures for really much of the eastern part of the United States. If you want to go warm up, unlikely places like Denver, Colorado. I'm going to look and see if I can find if they even have any snow on the ground, because temperatures have averaged well above normal over much of the Rockies and the West in recent weeks. Today it's going to be beautiful, plenty of sunshine and about 28 with a little gusty wind at times. Tonight clear, the winds diminish, will drop to right around 12. Tomorrow partly sunny, will go above freezing, mid and upper 30s, and then boy, Tuesday 44 and 43 on Wednesday, about a 30 to 40% rain chance on Wednesday. We'll cool it back into the upper 30s on Thursday, but bounce right back into the mid 40s by Friday.
The snow and the sleet, it stopped falling several days ago, but still, this is what the sidewalk looks like at my coworker's apartment complex in Greensboro. And this over here, this is the parking lot. The walkways, the parking lot, nothing's been touched. It's a slushy, icy, and dangerous mess. North Carolina requires a landlord to provide what's called a fit premises. In fact, the statute reads, keep all common areas of the premises in safe condition. What it doesn't spell out is a timeline or how to make that happen.
There's no law you have to plow. There's no law you have to put down ice melt. But the law is you have to keep common areas reasonably safe and passable. Landlords are allowed a reasonable time and reasonable expectations depending on the condition.
Attorney David Daggett says reasonable isn't defined. It depends on the circumstances of what another landlord would reasonably do under similar circumstances. But that doesn't mean that you, the tenant, can't make a reasonable request for information about the conditions and when they will be fixed. It can be as simple as a text or an email to the office manager or the property owners.
They can contact the regional or local housing authority. They can, complain. Document those complaints in writing. At some point, you could be entitled to some abatement of rent or other charges if the landlord is not doing their duty.
In some Triad cities, there's an additional snow ordinance. For example, this is the city of Greensboro. It has an ordinance that talks about the removal of ice and snow. It even says that the landlord should remove it by 10 o'clock each day. I got to tell you, though, this ordinance really has no teeth. No city department enforces this. Snow removal is seen as a private matter between landlord and tenant. So here's my suggestion to you. Get with those other tenants and make some noise. You need to email, you need to text your office manager or your property owner. You need to put those complaints in writing.
While it's still freezing outside, the sun is out and shining. Check out this beautiful sunrise overlooking Colfax this morning. Yes, yesterday the clouds were so gray. You definitely want to see those pretty colors.
Well, check out this massive icicle someone found in Gaston. Just a reminder, the snow can be deceiving. Lots of ice still lurking around from the freezing temperatures and ice storms we got just last week. So you definitely want to be careful, but that thing is huge. You could hurt somebody with that.
Yeah, 100%. One of our videographers also sent in a picture of just so many icicles on the gutters at his house, and it was just insane to see. Nothing I've ever seen in the Tar Heel State.
And also, the good thing about this snow that we got is the fluffy stuff that you can actually play with. Last week when we got that freezing rain, one of our reporters, Manning Franks, he had made a snowball and it turned into complete ice.
Wow.
And he said this is definitely not something that you want to toss at someone if you're going to be out in the snow. But this fluffy stuff, which we see with the pictures of the little doggies, you can go out there and have some fun, but you just want to make sure you're taking those extra precautions, bundling up, wearing all the different layers.
Yeah, it's great for snow angels, but you might get a little stuck in there. It's so deep. All right, the time is 10:23. Let's get another check-in with our team out in Greensboro. Hey, Giselle, you have been out there at Buffalo Creek. Do you see a lot of people out maybe walking their dogs or anything as it hits around 10:20 this morning?
So we've only seen a few. I know we're trying to get them on camera, but they just wanted their privacy at this time as they're just trying to make sure that their dogs are happy. It was more interesting seeing the dogs enjoying the snow than the actual humans that were with them. Right now, we're just experiencing a little bit of wind. As we know, the sun is coming up and picking up, but I wanted to do another measurement because here in this area, we've really seen a heavy amount of snow that is still. Okay, so right here, we're by North Buffalo Creek. We're still hitting about that 8 inches. Just imagine that, you guys. When I tell you the difference between here and the actual roadway is crazy. So I do want us to pull up the traffic map because we've been driving all throughout Greensboro, and the perfect example is showing not only here how you can see there's lots of snow built up here, but you guys, this is the road. So what has been interesting that we've been seeing is how, yes, we have the fluffy stuff, but look, This is ice right here, and that's where things get dangerous and why we're just getting the news of GCS deciding to make sure that they are not working and doing, they're going to be closing school on Monday, February the 2nd, because roads like this are dangerous. Remember, school buses will drive in neighborhoods, and if neighborhood roads are looking like this, it's just not safe. As we're pulling up that map, you'll see a lot of those priority roads that are being worked on. But the good thing is now that the sun is up, so some of those plowed streets, we are finally able to see those roadways, and that's what the city says lets you know that it'll say plowed when you can actually see that asphalt. We'll make sure to keep you guys updated on these road conditions. Live in Greensboro, Giselle Thomas, WFMY News 2.
Yeah, thanks so much for all your hard work, Giselle, and very happy that we can see some roadways coming up this Sunday morning. So weather conditions are causing a headache in the Outer Banks as well. So this is a part of Highway 12. If you've ever been to the Outer Banks, you can't miss this road. It's what you have to get around while you're there. So this part is in Ocracoke, and it is closed because of the weather, bringing potential ocean overwash onto the roadway. This stretch of highway closes all the time, especially in hurricanes. It's rare that we do see it when it comes to storms, winter storms like this. On the other side of the state, snow is still coming down. This is a live look over downtown Boone, and as you can see, you know, Lauren, they're more used to weather like this over in the mountains, and they can handle it well. As you can see, there's some equipment right there that's helping it out, but a little different than over here. We maybe get an inch, they maybe get 3 or 4.
Yeah, when they're up there, they're like, we're going skiing, we're going to At Mountain. But much of the rest of the state is also under a blanket of snow. You probably don't think of Greenville as a snowy city, but here it looks like New England than North Carolina. And Hannah, you spent a lot of time in Greenville.
Oh yeah, that's a shot of the hospital over there in Greenville. And I actually, you know, on Facebook, how it comes up on your time hop. 3 years ago, this time last year, they had a snowstorm. Nothing like this.
Yeah.
Nothing like that. So it looks like these kids in Huntersville are enjoying their weekend sledding down a pretty massive hill. I'm just glad y'all are able to do this because I think it was a lot better conditions to go sledding this weekend as opposed to last weekend. Looks like you're having a lot of fun.
Yeah, we were dealing with all that ice last weekend. We got the fluffy stuff. Meanwhile, Mooresville is almost completely unrecognizable under this thick layer of snow. Take a look at that tree branch there. It looks like they got at least 5 inches there.
Yeah.
Well, if you have to get on the roads, whether for work or an emergency, you know to clear the windshield and wipe the snow from the hood and the top of the car. I made sure to do that this morning.
Yeah, all this is very important. And that's not all. There is something else you should check before hitting the streets. Your tires. WFMY News 2's Ben Briscoe explains.
Most winter driving dangers are easy to spot on the roads. Ice, snow, slush. But Justin ran into one you can't see.
Stopped here because I knew they would be open and they have free air.
He was back out after the storm.
Get little snacks for my girlfriend and whatnot.
When a warning light caught his attention, cold weather can drain tire pressure fast.
When it gets cold, the rubber in your tire and the metal in your rim, they contract at different paces.
You can expect to lose about 1 or 2 psi for every 10 degrees that it drops outside. So making sure you stay on top of the tire pressure is extremely important.
Every year, about 600 people are killed and more than 33,000 others injured in crashes linked to underinflated tires.
It is a very, very bad idea to drive anywhere on a tire with too low air. You leave yourself open to the possibility of a blowout or other tire damage.
You might have also heard this advice. Letting air out of your tires can help with traction on icy roads.
If you lower the pressure, then the traction will be improved a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit, because the contact of the tire, the surface of the tire will contact more with the surface of the terrain.
But experts say it doesn't work where rubber meets the road.
It's not recommended for asphalt roads or concrete roads because it will damage the shoulders or the side of the tires.
So if you want to take some pressure off of winter driving, start by making sure there's enough air in your tires. Ben Briscoe, 2 wants to know.
Well, the sun is helping us out this morning. It's shining bright on the snow throughout our area, and temperatures are moving up. 18 in Greensboro and Winston-Salem, 21 in High Point, 19 at Asheboro, Lexington at 20.